All right, welcome back to KM6LYW Radio. Hey, we're talking about Go Boxes today. Now, this is a cigar box, but it's also known as a Go Box. It all depends on what you put in it. Hey, we're going to look at 3 different Go Boxes. We got small, medium, large, and they vary directly with price in that regard. So let's take a look at a couple of them. You should always have a couple of Go Boxes in your collection. You know, have it next to your backpacking gear or, you know, all of your important papers and be ready to run. Here in Northern California, of course, we have fire disasters all the time. And I always have some sort of Go Box ready, you know, either in my, backpacking gear, survival gear, that kind of thing. You need to have some sort of communication, you know, even if it's only a cell phone, you know, that'll work. But let's talk about the amateur radio and maybe with an emphasis on data modes, since that's what we do on this channel, reimagining them in an information age. So let's start off with something simple. So this is the most simple one, probably the cheapest too. There's no reason you can't have one of these if you just want to do radio comms. And it's tuned to a frequency that's being jammed by my lights, I'm sure. If you just want to do radio comms, this is a Baofeng UV5R. It is ubiquitous. That's the word of the day, ubiquitous. If you just want to do voice modes, this is where it's at. It's really cheap. You can get these for 20 bucks. You can get charging. The battery lasts on these, the life on these is very good. In fact, unlike the more expensive radios, you can throw this in a glove box or something and the battery will, and turn it off, of course, and then the battery will still be charged, 6 months later. It's really, truly off, unlike some of the more expensive radios. Maybe you get a better antenna, maybe you get a, maybe a roll-up J-pole or something, and augment your bag. But this is the size and weight that, a backpacker is going to be able to use if you're going on foot. So this is the most mobile, the most cost-effective, and probably the most limited in the fact that you can't do any data modes. We're not going to do email, SMS, or texting or anything like this, unless you get a, maybe a more comprehensive, modem and stuff like that. So this is the Baofeng UV5R Go Box, Go Bag. It's really light. Have one of these. There's no reason not to have one of these available. All right, number 2 is our medium choice. This is a cigar box. Not just a Go Box, it's a cigar box. You can get cigar boxes anywhere. So yeah, I got a few of these boxes. If you got a friend that smokes cigars, they probably have a few of these boxes. So the box is essentially free. Now this one's a little more advanced in the fact that, actually I want to also mention, if you're using an automated control operation, in that you have a modem, maybe transmitting, by itself. Technically in the United States FCC jurisdiction, you need to have your call sign labeled somewhere on your station so people know that, physically that's the device transmitting and that's the call sign of that device for automated control operation. So first and foremost, this is what you guys are interested in. I'm just going to pull the radio out. This is a more expensive Japanese radio. So we've got Yaesu, Kenwood, if they still make HTs, and ICOM. Those are kind of the big 3 for HTs. There's a lot of others as well. These are going to be a lot more expensive. Instead of 20 bucks, these are closer to 200. You can get this Yaesu FT1 on eBay used for about 100, well, maybe 200 bucks, let's say that. This has APRS built in. So if you have APRS capabilities, that's packet radio, you can not only send your position, which is what everyone thinks it's for, but you can also do email and SMS texting. Now, it's not real convenient to use. Texting with these buttons is kind of like the old 1990s phones, but it's possible, and you can have cached values in there, and things like that. So that's the radio in this Go Box. The antenna isn't bad on these, but you can certainly upgrade your antenna to a roll-up J-pole. So if you're going to be stationary for a while, there's no reason not to get one of these on eBay. This is a backpacking roll-up J-pole. It's that old 300 ohm line that used to attach your I don't know if you're as old as I am, you used to have rabbit ears on your TV. And this is the cable you use to attach your antenna. This is the feed line for that. And it's an SMA connector. Make sure it fits with your radio. And you throw this up in a tree as high as you can. And this gets you VHF and UHF capabilities. Okay, so that's to the horizon. Now for data modes, you have a couple of options. Like if you want to do email, let's say you want to do something beyond APRS, you can get a Raspberry Pi based solution. This is the DigiPi that we talk about incessantly on this channel. Raspberry Pi, a little monitor, it tells you what it's doing, a sound card that you can hook up to your radio This just plugs right into the side of the radio, right? So audio in, audio out, and push to talk. And then additionally, you would have a cell phone that drives this over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I would show you the cell phone, but it's actually doing the recordings right now. So this is a completely wireless solution. This gives you access to all data modes that exist, all of them. If you're plugging into a VHF and UHF radio, obviously it's going to be a subset of that, but this is going to give you WinLink, packet, AX.25, bulletin board. A lot of times for disasters when we have power outages here, we'll have nets, that are voice and people keeping track of, resources. Where can you get gasoline right now? Where's food for that matter? We can do that by voice, or you can actually set up a bulletin board if you want to, and just have a disaster bulletin board where people can connect to it over packet. And you can run that on the Raspberry Pi, on the DigiPi specifically. So look at this at Krager.org/DigiPi. So if you just want to do packet and AX.25, the MobileLink TNC is a fantastic option. It's a little more expensive. I guess I should put a price on the DigiPi. So the DigiPi for a Raspberry Pi Zero is going to be $15, maybe $20 for the audio board, and then the optional monitor is another, maybe $20. So under $50 with this SD card, and you are in business with that. Now this is about $120, and this is the MobileLink D. This is actually really plug and play. It comes with these cool cables that you can get for different radios. You plug this into this, plug these in together, and you can operate this over Bluetooth and only Bluetooth. So this just gives you APRS, like you'd use APRS Droid, and it'll also give you WinLink if you want to use WOAD for Android, for example, WinLink on Android. So you've got APRS texting and email there. For power, obviously the radio has its own battery, but the Raspberry Pi needs power as well. So you can either use a cell phone backup battery, or you can buy one of these cool little battery boards that isn't attached to this one yet, to make it even more steampunk looking. But then you get a battery and you get a power switch, which is cool. Something that Raspberry Pis just don't have. And of course, when you want to charge your radio up, I actually recommend this Baofeng part. This is a USB on one end, and there's a buck converter, a 12-volt up converter that gets this up to about 12 volts. And then from there, you can plug your 12 volts right into your radio, and your radio charges from any cell phone battery backup or any USB port for that matter. Now this charges slowly, obviously. It's something you do overnight. I use this for backpacking. This, for example, is my backpacking rig. Indisputable. I can't imagine going backpacking without this. I'm in touch with the XYL full-time, SMS texting to her cell phone, right? She also has an amateur radio operator, but honestly, it's easier for me just to send her text to her cell phone. I mean, she's back here in the real world. I'm backpacking. She's got a cell phone and all that entails, and so I can just use this to send her text messages. Maybe your whip antenna isn't cutting it. I really recommend the signal stick antenna. It's super flexible memory steel, so you can fold this all up. What's cool about this is you get a quarter wave antenna that fits in your pocket, fits in your go box, and you can coil it up, unlike every other quarter wave antenna. Of course, it's an SMA adapter. Get this from Signal Stuff. If you want, manufacture a counterpoise like I did. This is basically turns it into a half wave antenna, and so make it an L like that, and then put that on your radio, and this really gets out. This is a shockingly good antenna, really simple, really light, definitely an item for a go box. All right, so putting all of this back, this is the medium size go box. It gets you not only voice on VHF and UHF, but every data mode you can think of that's supported on those frequencies, and it all fits in a cigar box. Of course, it's not going to fit now that I'm just stacking it on here. All right, that is the cigar box. This is option 2. This is the medium size option. This one's going to set you back between, just the radio is 200. So we're talking maybe 350, depending on the options you put in there. But this is the one I take with me, guys. If I'm going in the car somewhere overnight, it's just really easy to throw this in the car or the backpack. I really like this one. It's not really light. I mean, if you really need to go light, this is the winner, and it's also the cheapest. All right, so that's option 2. Now, option 3. Yes, this is the one we've been waiting for. This is by far the heaviest option. It's by far the most expensive option. It is by far the most complete option. This gives you every mode on every frequency in amateur radio, virtually in every jurisdiction. So this is a clone of a Pelican case. That's what this is. You know, you can get these Pelican cases on Amazon. It's not technically Pelican case branded, but you know, you can get a cheaper kind of a knockoff. And honestly, they're just as good. But these cases aren't expensive either, right? You can pay like $40 just for a plastic case. So opening it up, there's a lot of obvious things in here, a lot of not so obvious things. So I'm just pulling back the insulation from the lid. And the first thing you'll find is a solar panel. This is a 10-watt solar panel. It's a Renogy panel. It has a bunch of, I should say, had a bunch of canvas on here. You know, I don't know why. So you can fold it up, I guess. But if you rip off all the canvas, it's a good solar panel. Now, what makes this different about most solar panels you're going to find on Amazon or other places is this is a traditional 18-volt panel. So you need a solar charge controller to go with it to charge real batteries. So it'll charge car batteries or lithium iron phosphate or lithium polymer batteries. So this is an 18-volt channel. Do not get duped into buying one that has a little USB port on the side. This is just like one of the really big panels you would put on your roof, only it's much smaller. It's 10 watts. So in full sunlight, at least here in California, this panel is going to deliver a half an amp. Sometimes I can get 0.6 amps. And that is enough if it's continuous. I know it doesn't sound like much, but you know, if it's continuous, it really adds up over time. And let's face it, you're listening more than you're transmitting. So, you know, if you're only transmitting, you know, for a short period every minute or so, you know, this is actually going to keep up, and it will definitely keep up with the receiver. You know, if we're using data modes and just sending packets, you know, we're sending a lot of information in a very short amount of time. The transmitter is rarely on, and this keeps up. And the cool part is it actually fits in this Pelican case. So that's the Renogy solar panel that I really hacked up to make it lightweight. I'll get to the big stuff in a minute. Remember I mentioned that roll-up J-pole? This is for VHF and UHF. What's different about this system is we can also get HF radio. So this is the VHF, UHF roll-up J-pole. Again, it's made out of that twin lead stuff that you use to hook up your rabbit ears to your TV. And it's got an SMA adapter. In fact, I've got a BNC adapter for this radio as well. The roll-up J-pole, super cool, essential equipment for VHF and UHF in every Go box. All right, moving on. What should we do next? So maybe we'll talk about the power system. So I mentioned that solar panel was an 18-volt photovoltaic cell or panel. Any cheap solar charger will do. You can get a special MTTP one, you know, for $100. But honestly, this is pulse width modulated charger. It's not as efficient, but man, it really works in this scenario. So this is maybe $15 for the solar charge controller. You plug that solar panel in here, you plug your battery in here, and into these two leads you plug in your load, which in our case is a ICOM 705 that we've got down here. Now the battery itself, there's a couple of options. I like these I'm gonna let you figure that one out. This is a 16 amp hour battery, super light compared to lead acid. Additionally, compared to sealed lead acid, you actually get the entire 16 amp hours before it's depleted. Lead acid chemistry, you're usually only getting about half of that before you're starting to do damage to the batteries. So that is the lithium iron phosphate battery that the solar charger is driving. It doesn't even have a name, it's just called solar charger. Just look for the ones that have these 3 buttons and 2 USB jacks, you know, so you can charge your phone too. Okay, and all of that, the solar charger load is attached to the ICOM 705. See if I can get that to turn on. I don't know why this needs to always take a second to boot. The ICOM 705, and then of course is in a VHF frequency now. Now what makes this different than the other 2 radios is this has HF frequency. So that's anything between 3 and 35 megahertz, 30 megahertz is going to be HF. Of course, in the United States, in the FCC jurisdiction, you'll need a general ham license to operate this radio on those bands. But as you can see, we can go all the way down to 14 megahertz. And with this radio, we can talk anywhere in the world, conceivably. Since we're talking about data modes a lot in this, so this is like the ultimate WinLink station as well. You can point your phone as you're at your DigiPi and operate this radio using all digital modes. I'll use this for email. If I really can't get out on VHF and UHF, I'll drag this out and I'll have WinLink email afforded to me over these HF frequencies, and I'll usually connect to an easy station in my first skip zone, like something in Utah. So I'm in California, so I can shoot over 800 to 1,000 miles over to Utah and get a really solid WinLink email connection there. So that's the radio, and of course, don't forget your hand mic. If you want to actually talk to people, that's cool. There's nets all the time on lots of different frequencies. You might want to jot those down and put them in your Go box. Now for an HF radio, you need a considerably larger antenna. So the antenna I have here is from Tim Ortiz, and he is on eBay. Look up Tim Ortiz on eBay, and this is called a linked dipole. This is the lightest, most simple linked dipole you'll ever see. It's actually cute. So a linked dipole is basically an inverted V. It has a center feed point and then two lines that come down in an upside down V, and then you can add links to it to change the resonant frequency. So at a minimum it's a 20 meter dipole, and then you can add either 30 meter links to it, legs, or you can add 40 meter legs to it, and that's what this one is in particular. Now, some radios will have a current balun to evenly distribute or rebalance the signal from an unbalanced to balanced antenna. This is an actual current balun in here. It's super light. I don't even know what's in it, but Tim makes these, and it has connectors all set up for this antenna. And of course, you connect that to the center of the antenna, which is this guy. And this is a 20 meter antenna right here, all set up. I'm not going to uncoil these, but there's two legs here. He uses bullet connectors to connect these. I know this is turning into an antenna review, but these bullet connectors are really simple to connect the links, and then there's these paracord clips to connect everything up. That is the antenna by Tim Ortiz. You're going to find him on eBay. It's probably going to be like $100. Now that antenna is not really cheap, but to make it and to get it all shrink tubed and all the little knickknacks put together on that, it does take quite a lot of effort. So this is some feed line. This is up to you. I've got some really thin stuff here. I don't know what you want to go with. Just make sure it has the right ends for your radio. This is going to be a BNC connector for the ICOM 705. Make sure it matches your antenna. This stuff's probably too thin, but it is super duper light. Go with a coax that works for your weight requirements. I usually get about 33, 35 feet. I can get the antenna up that high on a good day if I'm throwing this string up in a tree. So maybe 35 feet of feed line. This line here is called Zing It, I think. This is what actual arborists use to do tree and landscape maintenance. So they'll shoot this line over tree branches as pilot line for heavier cables. But this Zing It is kind of waxy. It's really slippery. I think it's called Zing It line. This is actually expensive. This is probably like $40 worth of string. I'm sure you can source string cheaper. What's hard to find is these winders. Let me know if you guys find a source of these winders. I think I had to order these from the UK to make these work. So lastly, when we're talking about digital modes, I know everyone's talking about Raspberry Pis now, and that's exactly what this is. The Raspberry Pi Zero, and the software in it is called DigiPi, and you're going to find that at Krager.org/DigiPi. So that's just shameless self-promotion for this. I write the software for the DigiPi. It's completely controllable with your cell phone or Wi-Fi device or tablet. You can use it over Bluetooth as well. It becomes its own hotspot. All you need is a USB cable in this case to plug it into your the side of your radio here like this. When you turn it on, it tells you what mode it's in. There's an actual website running on it where you can change the different modes. It can be WinLink, it can be an APRS TNC, it can be a digipeater. Let's say you want to have a mobile digipeater. This will do that. It'll do JS8 call, WSJTX, FT8. It'll even do CW. The one requirement is that you have some sort of a Wi-Fi or a tablet device to drive it. And of course, everyone's got one of those in their pocket, right? In fact, if you can afford it, I would show you my cell phone, but it's actually filming this video. If you can afford it, get a cheap cell phone and go ahead and throw it in your pack and keep it charged. And and maybe have an extra USB cable so you can charge it off of your power supply. That way you've got your cell phone talking to your DigiPi. You've got all your data modes here on your phone, and it's all happening over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Talking to your ICOM 705. So the cost on this thing is it's just outrageous. This is the most expensive Go box. So shipped, if you want to buy one of these new, including taxes, it's probably close to $1,400. I buy all my gear used. I think I got this for $1,000. Just this radio. This does VHF, UHF, HF frequencies, every ham radio frequency you can think of. What it doesn't do is, all it does is, voice modes, where you can just talk. So the DigiPi is like the ultimate accessory for this, but it really opens up this radio, gives you all the digital modes you want. The power controller, I think I said, was $15. This battery here, I want to say it was closer to $50. The MIADY, $50 on Amazon. They make a smaller one. It's half size. It's 6 amp hours, about half the price. Considerably lighter. Maybe if it's a really sunny day, you could get away with this one using that solar panel. If it's kind of a grayer day, I'd go with the bigger battery. When you're building your power systems, do put fuses in these, please. This is an automotive fuse. There's even a glass fuse in line with the radio. The last thing you want is to have a gigantic fire in your Go box. Okay, so we have covered 3 different Go boxes here for every budget and for every weight requirement here. I think having at least 1 is critical, having 2 is cool, and having 3, like here, is really luxurious. I really am lucky to have these 3 boxes. All right, so I am going to move it back to the computer. Thank you for watching, you guys. Please like and subscribe. This is KM6LYW Radio, and I'm clear. Okay, thanks for hanging out with me to the end here. Hey, none of this would be possible without you guys, specifically the patrons at patreon.com/KM6LYW Radio. Hey, signing up to be a patron gets you early access to software like the DigiPi that we mentioned, for example. We pack all of the technologies we talk about in this channel into a single SD card image that you can boot in a Raspberry Pi and basically make it the ultimate data hotspot for your amateur radio. So patreon.com/KM6LYW Radio. So this list is incredibly long now. I remember when it was just 10 names, right? So Fu, Brian, Jake, Jason, Michael, Christopher, Steve, William, Simon, Ian, Jim, Brad, Douglas, Don, Carlton, Tony, Ryan, Buddy Brown. Thank you very much. Glenn, Brian, Joshua, Aaron, Kilowatt Challenge. Haven't said your name in a while. Rufus, Stephen, Henry, Tom, James, Ziggy Zog, David, Jerry, Tom. Again, lots of Toms. I've counted 3 so far. Steve, Matthew, Scott, Peter, Jerkai. I'm sure I'm mangling that. Andre, thank you very much. Jason, Peaches, Weeches. Awesome name. And we've got ET Conf. I'm not sure where that goes. Ryan, Ernest, Alexis. Hey, thank you. This person, I don't even know the alphabet. I know we exchanged emails, though. I'm sure you know who you are. Dale, Jody, Rick, Daniel, Brian, Jeff, Bob, and all the way down to Chris. Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Remember, being a Patreon or patron of patreon.com/KM6LYW does have its advantages. Hey, let's hang out. Let's chat. Again, this is KM6LYW Radio, Craig in California, and I'm clear.